that was a great session. One of the things that I thought was really interesting that came up was 23andMe.
Yeah.
Kind of the idea of the hype that goes on before the efficacy really gets there.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't get to, but what I'd like to talk a little bit is more about that. And we have a couple guests with us. We have Hiba. Hello, welcome.
Hello, welcome. Sorry.
You got to use the mic.
Yep.
Otherwise, they can't hear you at home. And you really wanted to talk about, because you're the mother of a child with Down syndrome.
Yep.
And that's really, you've been an advocate for that. Can you tell us a little bit about your situation?
Yes. I'm a health informatician, and I graduated from Karolinska Institute last year, and my practical life, I worked as a business analyst in ECDC, the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control. But on the other hand, I have a wonderful boy, Jovan, we're born with Down syndrome. And since he born, I feel that I should be his voice in the world. And especially he born in Iraq, in Baghdad, and we have a lot of needs for awareness about the Down syndrome, and make people accept and respect the people with special needs, especially with Down syndrome. That make me activist for special needs. And when I moved to Sweden, I noticed that there is another gap and another needs in this field, not just raise the awareness to accept and respect those kinds of groups, but also there's when for example, I did my research in my master, it was about measuring the quantified self-tools and how much it affects the patient, the family participation to control the health of the
which is so big right now.
Yeah.
And actually, I want to go back to something.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
You were talking about communication.
Yep.
Is
We have a little bit of a microphone problem.
we have?
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Sorry. Bastian, that it's your...
Yeah.
There we go.
I think...
Yep.
What we're seeing, and that came up in the last session, is that there's really kind of this communication problem where we have a mixture of the hype, like the 23andMe, and then sort of a fear campaign. And one of the things that I was hoping that we'd get to, but we didn't have enough time for, was looking at, Raul works within women's cycles, and kind of the perfect storm that happened with them was the Glow app, where they had really, really vulnerable and intimate information about women losing children or having a miscarriage, and then having a huge data breach. So we have this communication problem in digital health, where we have the hype and we have the fear, and we're missing the efficacy. And your research was kind of tied into that, and getting the priorities and the efficacy through the communications. So can you talk about the communication part of that? Because I think it's so key right now.
Yeah, the problem that, for example, now I try to transfer my experience and my knowledge that I get it from my son to the Middle East, and try to, for example,
You have a Facebook page.
Yeah, I
right?
have a Facebook page, and it's called Proud of My Chromosome, with more than 2,000 followers, and I'm trying to transfer all the knowledge that I get it. But the problem is that even here in Sweden, when we contact the healthcare companies, the startup companies, any companies that, okay, there is, and I did it by myself, that I contact them, I tell them that, okay, for example, this device, I use it for my son, and also use it in my research, and it's not good, and it's for example, we need more stuff to do it in that, and they honestly say, oh, sorry, this is for health, for healthy people. Okay, if we just think about healthy people to make their health is very good and all think of patients that can express themselves. What about the special needs that they cannot express themselves? Okay, I'm a mother for a kid that cannot express himself, and I'm responsible of his life. And I face a lot of difficulties. One of them is leukemia. One of them is thyroid problem. One of them is phobia from doctors. He refused to see the doctors. I need to guess when he's angry or when he's irritated why. I should guess from, is it something in ear or in teeth or in stomach? It's hard for me as a mother, and I know there is a lot of mothers suffer from more than me.
One of the most important, or one of the most interesting things that I think we have, I can't hear myself.
Oh.
Hello?
Yeah.
Am I still?
Then it's on me. And Jovan has joined us. Hi, welcome to the cage.
Welcome to the cage. Yeah. Oh, my microphone has been turned on.
There you go.
We'll quickly
Okay.
ask the question before we move on. I have read your paper on your quantified self, where you introduced wearable technology to monitor the health of your son and to help make better decisions for him in terms of obesity, movement, and also about activity, etc., etc. Do you believe
It wasn't just for my son.
it wasn't? No, but it was.
yeah,
It was
10
focusing
10
around
participants,
children with Down syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe, and especially when we're talking to the companies in here, I noticed that myself as well, that oftentimes they produce products where they focus on the patient, which is a good thing, of course.
Yeah.
But do you believe that the products that you have to use as a parent of a child with special needs and the products that many of the caretakers have to use for people that are so severely ill that they cannot do anything by themselves anymore, that there is a gap in what these products are offering and what you need?
Yeah, there is a lot of big gap, and I try to explain to them what's the suggestion that I get it from my research, and it's sometimes it's a simple suggestion, but they refuse and they say, sorry, this is for healthy people. Okay, it's look like, I don't want to say the word, but it's discriminating.
This is
a group of the people. Okay, they are not patient and they are not healthy, but they have special needs. Should we ignore them? That's it. I'm a mother. I need to take care of my son, health of my son, I need to improve his health.
Exactly.
He's not a patient, but he needs a lot of support. And
that's one of the things that's coming
and
up.
I want to raise my voice and say, okay, hello, we are there. I need someone to take care of this.
But that's what we're seeing really, is this problem of if someone's not a patient, then we're not focusing on them. And that's absolutely something that I think we need to look into. And Jovan, I'd love to have your perspective on this, because we've been talking about communication. And I think actually your platform has the best opportunity to really give the communication of what you're doing, because you work in where you store and share data securely, one of the few these days.
You're what we're searching for.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we were talking about the Glow example. I don't know if you're familiar with that story. It was a huge data breach for a app that regulated women's cycles. And
I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's say from the communication point of view, what we are doing and what we feel we should do more and better is actually communicating to developers, entrepreneurs, what are the challenges, what they should do to ensure security, data protection, and so on, and what is complex, what's not, because we feel that they frequently they ignore the problem because of complexity. The barrier to entrance into the topic is so high that, for example, typical entrepreneurs and startups, they don't have resources and knowledge to tackle this issue, analyzing laws, understanding what are the requirements, and so on. So usually they do minimum as less as possible to overcome, to solve this issue. And
It's done as a last minute.
Is it a fear that exists to face a problem and then coming up with half a solution?
Well, from their point of view, from their point of view, I feel they just want, they're eager to validate their product, go to the market, you know, typical startup life. They want to go to
Get
the market,
investors.
get investors, and then later on they will fix it. And once they, for example, reach some success, like this app, and there are many others, sometimes it's difficult, it's a bit late. They don't consider, you know, security and privacy by design, so to implement into core of their application. So it's late, and it's difficult then to modify everything and not affect the service and so on. So we are trying to show what are the requirements, what they should do is, you know, clearly, and say, okay, if you want to do it by yourself, go do it by yourself. If you want some help, we are there to help you.
Well, it's really refreshing to hear someone actually saying that, because we all kind of have an awareness to the fact that privacy is not as high as it should be, and certainly there's not enough legislation, especially here in Europe, to control that sort of thing. So does your company then, would you say, get involved at the very last stage of a lot of these companies and sort of clean up, as opposed to get into the beginning of the strategy?
Well, so first of all, the legislation in Europe is the strictest and the best in the world for protecting privacy of citizens, because we have a privacy law. For example, in the US there is no privacy law. There is different sectorial laws for each sector, health and so on, but there is no one single, you know, law as strict as in US, the new GDPR law. And there are different other security laws at national level. So the problem is that it's complex, a complex topic, boring sometimes, and so on. So when this should be considered by startups, it should be considered from the beginning, from the design of their applications for their services, and, you know, embed a privacy policy, collect the consent, track the consent, and encrypt the data where possible, and so on. So it should be considered from the beginning, because we can help much in the beginning. And then later on, once you have developed, once you have in the market with thousands of applications installed, it's a bit harder to put your hands and then add security. A recent study, as I mentioned before on the panel, last year showed that there were 50 applications approved by the NHS in UK. There is a marketplace where they are approved and authorized. 66% of them didn't use HTTPS as basic security features to transfer the data. So encryption and transfer is really a 10 minutes work, and they didn't. So basically it's...
Hiba, if I can ask you, what is your idea about the whole privacy issue when you're talking about managing the data of your son? Because you are involved with so many data sources, and reading from your study and knowing you personally as well, I know that you are a loud voice to the community to make people aware of the issues that you go through with healthcare for your son, especially when you're looking at digital healthcare for your son. What are your ideas about handling privacy when it comes to the data that your son produces?
For me, I don't afraid to share my data. That's very big different from here in Sweden, because I know there's a lot of family don't like to share their data. So it's different between country to country and tradition to tradition. Even if you see some, for example, I want to record some activity in the sport activity, or many family refuse to even take picture or video or whatever. So here in Sweden they don't like, but it depends on the family if they like to share their data or not. For me, because I need to raise our voice, and I need to discover and find a better tools and better life for my son, I don't care. I just want to. Of course, it's. I cannot, because still there is a security issue, and sometimes the data disappear, and I cannot even use the data in many devices. I can just see it. As they mentioned, it was very wonderful discussion before. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to decide.
Do you believe that the privacy issue is something that is very Northern Europe and not so per se going on in Iraq when you're traveling back to Iraq?
Yeah, here it's more the people more interest of
Privacies.
yeah. privacy, and I understand that many people don't like to share their data, and they have this right, but yeah, it depends on the family. But for me, I don't care. I want to do the best for him.
Definitely.
Definitely. And I think the combination of you two is so great because this is why we're here. We want to make change. We want to go for things that aren't on the top of the docket, things, diseases that we can really look at, and do it in a secure way that absolutely lets us look at the data and share our data and learn from it.
For example, what she said is that they control the right. That's the most important thing, because one of the most beautiful platforms out there in that people use to share the information about their health is Patients Like Me. And this platform is really great because it was the first, let's say, social platform for patients, where you can share, see how other people are with the same disease, the same conditions are performing, compare the results, push each other, learn about, now there is the concept that patients are so empowered that they know better than their doctors what are their conditions. But it's the matter of control then. So you are able to control the disclosure of your data. That's the most important aspect. So if you don't want, you hide, you keep it for yourself. If you want, you should be able to do it. So it's the security and privacy is just about that. Giving the right tools.
Well, when we're talking about that, and I think that is my last question, so you can ask your questions as well. Hiba's situation, she's a parent of someone with Down syndrome, and she is being unheard at the conference right now because tools are apparently made for people that are either ill or that are healthy. What is the reason why companies do not want to focus on people that are taking care of someone? What is it? Could you name one reason for that? Is it fear? Is it?
Well,
is it
honest.
I call them the silent patient. They are not patient, but the silent, because they cannot express themselves. We take care of them. We control their life. We control their health. So.
Yeah, probably it's the complexity of these kind of situations. Probably is the size, the numerosity of how many people are affected by this, and the complexity of finding solutions. Maybe, I don't know.
There's no easy answer to that.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess
Okay.
And I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
But fantastic, you guys.
Yeah, thank you
keep
so
pushing
much.
forward. This is exactly where we need to go, and good luck. We're going to take a short break. Please tweet towards us.
Digital Health Day
Please
Dhd16.
Hashtag DHD16.
DHD16.
We'll be back in 15 minutes with the next panel, and we hope you join us.
Take
Thank
a cup
you.
of coffee, and we'll see each other in 15 minutes from now.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.